Sega does what Nintendo don't, that's for sure. We are only weeks away from the release of Sonic Frontiers on pretty much every single platform you can think of. And God of War, you better look out because the Sonic sweep is coming. Maybe. And the reason why I say maybe is because I'm not exactly sure how the game will turn out. Frontiers has become one of the most discussed video games as recently in terms of people speculating whether or not the game is going to be good or not. I don't know what that says about the company or the gaming franchise itself, but I don't think that's exactly a great thing. Sega recently has been known for making a bunch of flops more than a bunch of bangers out there nowadays. People have gotten to the point where they don't even really trust them anymore when it comes to making Sonic games, especially their modern 3D ones. People have been now beginning to trust a lot more of the fans that help make the games that are outside of those series, like for example Sonic Mania. But with Sonic Frontiers, could Sega really be making a comeback? Because with Sonic Frontiers, from everything we've seen so far and even more gameplay being released, I got a feeling that the game is going to now be a lot better than I thought it was going to be. After the final preview and getting to see 3 whole worlds and a bunch of different levels and all the cool gameplay elements, it has made me feel even more confident about Sega and their ability with making 3D Sonic games now. Because from what we've been shown so far, it looks pretty fun. The open world is very big. There's a lot to explore, a lot to collect, and let's not forget to mention the cyberspace levels, probably one of the biggest selling points of the game besides the open world. Being able to play a bunch of levels from past Sonic games is a pretty cool idea. It's a nice little throwback, and it can really tickle the nostalgia of some Sega fans out there who really like Sonic. And don't get me wrong, I like it a lot too. I love me some Sonic Adventure 2 references whenever they're thrown at me. And also people have been speculating that on the title screen there's an arcade mode that there's now there, and people are saying, oh, maybe you could play all of the cyberspace levels at once in a row in that mode. And to that I say, that would be a pretty genius idea, and honestly, if Sega doesn't do this, they'd be shooting themselves in the foot. Another thing that I really liked about what we've been seeing so far especially is the gameplay elements themselves. Sonic himself is not the fastest he's ever been, which honestly is fine because you're in a 3D open world game where you might have to do platforming occasionally, and having a super fast character while trying to do platforming can be quite annoying really. So I feel like this is honestly a pretty smart move on their part. The combat itself also looks pretty fun. It's fast paced, you spin circles everywhere, there's different ways you can attack enemies too. It's overall looking like it's going to be a fun little combat system. Most definitely better than Sonic Boom, that's for sure. But with all these things that also excite me and get me hyped for this game and honestly make me really hopeful for a good 3D Sonic game again, there are those slight doubts that I have. Like I said before, Sega's track record is not exactly the greatest. The last time we really got a good 3D Sonic game was technically Sonic Generations, like 10 years ago at this point. Some people may have different opinions and say that they like certain 3D Sonic games that I didn't think do as well, but the point still stands that there hasn't been a really good 3D Sonic game in a really long time. And I'm talking one that would just like take the world by storm, where it's almost like agreed upon almost everyone. Which, it's not the game's fault, honestly, and even if the game does come out, people are still going to be speculating whether or not it's actually good, because that is just the kind of reputation Sega's just had. There also have been some people saying that, oh, Sega's just releasing good batches that they've been working on for the public to see, so that way they don't see the amount of garbage that they're cleaning up. Even in the final preview and all the latest gameplay we have been shown, there have been a few glitches and a few bugs here and there, but the game honestly looks pretty clean overall and not perfect. And honestly, that's fine. The game is not finished yet. There's a reason why it still hasn't come out yet. Plus, there will probably be most certainly a day one patch. So most glitches and bugs that may be there in the first place, they'll probably patch them out within the day. And in some ways, I can agree with them. Sega has been pretty secretive in the past when it comes to releasing games. You could say this about Sonic Boom or Sonic Forces when they were coming out, when people really weren't sure exactly what the games were like, and then they realized, oh wait, these aren't good. Plus, other companies in the past have released gameplay and also demos of their games so they can look a lot better during those than the actual release. Probably one of the big examples out there would be probably Watch Dogs. The game itself, especially when it was first coming out, when we got demos and trailers for it, the game looked spectacular. It looked revolutionary. It was supposed to be the next big gen game, and then the game came out and it was rather underwhelming. But honestly, I get it. It's also not the same thing, but these things do tend to happen, and it's why people will worry. Of course, people are also afraid of the fact that the gameplay might not be for them. Some people aren't big into open world games, or Maybe they might not like the combat system. Maybe they just want a game where you just go through levels and you just run, which is at its heart what Sonic is. But I got a feeling them experimenting this is probably going to be one of the best things they've ever done if they do this right. I have a feeling if they do an open world Sonic game just right, and they do exactly everything right, I feel like this game is going to be pretty good, if not great. Plus, I'm sure this game will always have its fans, and it'll definitely be remembered for being one of the most unique Sonic games to ever come out. Just overall, Sonic Frontiers, I'm excited, but also nervous about. You know, expect the worst, be prepared for the best. Plus, I will say this, there is one thing about the game that I'm really looking forward to that I think will make the game a 10 out of 10. We have a fishing mini game, guys! Big the Cat!